Ani, Bojo, Kwe. Hello, greetings, my friends, boys and girls, chickens and squirrels. It's Catherine here, and I have a very interesting reading for the week of the 21st of November to the 27th of November, because it includes the final new moon. Let me get that out. The final new moon in 2022. And I will explain a little bit more about that in just a moment. The grandmother that we're ushering in is Gives Praise Woman on the 23rd of November at 5:57 p.m. Now, normally in a proper year, let me get my beloved medicine wheel out to show you. Normally, we have our winter solstice day here, where the black meets the white. And as such, that constitutes our technical New Year's Day, not January 1st. And so the new moons, each moon cycle comes around the wheel. This was autumn equinox, and normally the 13th moon cycle is here. That's in a perfect year. That's if the first moon cycle of the year actually fell on winter solstice. It didn't this past year. So it's forcing us to see the 12th moon cycle up here, and that's going to end our year. In fact, it makes next year almost a perfect year. So, having said that, the grandmother gives praise, and so we miss out on the 13th grandmother, who becomes her vision. And that grandmother would normally be the one that, when we have walked the 12 moon cycles with all their intricate lessons and all the awarenesses that we gain, by the time we get to the 13th moon cycle, we would become the vision that we have created for ourselves, of ourselves, in manifestation. But we miss out on that grandmother. So our year ends with Gives Praise Woman, and the name of this moon cycle is Cold Weather Moon. And based on the amount of snow dumping outside, it's hit hard and fast. So Gives Praise Woman is the mother of all acts of thanksgiving and the keeper of abundance, the guardian of ceremony and ritual, and the keeper of magic. Hold that thought. The mother of encouragement and the guardian of celebration, the wisdom keeper of the art of giving and receiving. She teaches us how to return thanks for the abundance we need before it even arrives, making space to receive it. How to celebrate every victory in life with joy, ours as well as the accomplishments of others. How to use right attitudes to create magical changes in the self. How to create abundance through praise, giving, and receiving. How to be grateful for the truth. And I would be grateful for Brian to, in the background, find out what the puppy is doing, because it does not sound good. So let's all give praise to Brian as he deals with the nonsense. So, coming back to the actual inception of this moon cycle, as I mentioned, November 23rd at 5:57 p.m., and that puts the full moon on December 7th. The fact that this is what's called a super new moon is the hallmark of the shaman. We look for super new moons. So that's a dark moon, and being that it's very close to the earth, it's the time when we want to go into the void, we want to go into the journey, we want to go after things. So this is a magnificent ritual time for this grandmother to be assisting us with. So that's all on the 23rd, which means that's Wednesday. All right, just ignore the dog noise. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside. And when I went asking about the cards for such a dignified grandmother, I got a real dog's breakfast. It made me wonder if my guides and teachers were out having a snootful the night before, because we got everything. We've got a Canadian egg, Lenormand. We have the Spacious Tarot and its expansion pack, the Herbal Astrology. We have the Whispering Bones. That's for the ancestors. We have the Hawaiian Kitty Kahani Tarot, and that's fun. Star Codes Astrology. And some Egyptians. Why not? This is the Amenti Oracle, the Feather Heart deck and guidebook. And then to round things off, we have some tea leaf cards. Those were the first things mentioned to me, and since tea leaves were the thing I learned in childhood with notations from my mother's mother, sent in a Christmas card. The tea leaves touched me very personally. Now, that grandmother did not acknowledge any indigenous background, but had it. And so it's very interesting. That grandmother Rose was a spiritualist and a medium. So this is very interesting. I wondered what I could put together with such an unusual plethora of cards, but it came together, and as I laid them out here, dog nonsense and all, it makes infinite sense given that this is the new moon week that these cards are being presented. So let's go to the cards, Brian. So here are the Spacious Tarot cards, and I have used one of the expansion cards in the oracular position, and I have the rest of the oracles, one card from each here. So they're up here. So we start with the Six of Cups. Nostalgia, fond memories, kind of in the misty mirror of time kind of thing. So we're starting out this week in a nostalgic place. And that's good, because while that seems passive and gentle, really what evolves from this week is quite powerful. I'm going to read these cards first. That seems to make sense to me this week. I don't always do that, but sometimes I do. Whatever comes up from the memories is incubated as the Ace of Wands. So perhaps this is something that we've all wanted to do at some time in the past and grew up and never did it, but that spark and that interest has always been there, and somehow, some way it's going to come around to be able to happen. That's how this feels to me. So there's that spark of divine creation, and wands are fire, and fire is spirit, and spirit is passion. And so we go from a nostalgic, gentle place into this fiery passion of creation. And within a very short time, we've got something developed which we are defending. above all things. This is the Nine of Wands, so we've got two wands. Judgment comes in. Judgment in the sense of this particular card is we are the one judging the path that we're going on. And this is important given the rest of the messages that come through from Spirit. So we've been nostalgic. Something has fired us from the past. We're able to create it and get it going quite quickly. And now we are judging some additional direction with this new venture. We have the Child of Swords, and I love this card. This is the same as the Page of Swords. So trying out thoughts with the innocence and the energy of a youthful being. But you notice that this raven is looking upside down through its legs at this sword. And this sword is being given or granted some new perspective. So in a childlike way, we kind of get caught up in thinking patterns that we develop over time. But if we return to a childlike way, an innocent way of viewing something that we're judging for the first time, or as if it is for the first time, we're going to get some clarity on direction. The last two cards are interesting. We've got the Justice card, which is the balance of the yin and the yang, and finally the World. This is a completion. They're very different cards in what they represent, but they look the same. And I find that interesting. So we go from an innocent beginning to a completion that's powerful, and it says to me that it's karmic. We again have three major arcana cards here this week. So how might we interpret that? Well, here we've got the Four of Coins. It's stable. It's perhaps holding on a little too tightly to the money we've accrued, but that's okay. It's going to flow. We have this card from the Herbal Astrology card is Milk Thistle, and it's the Peaceful Warrior. Notice the badger. You never back a badger in the corner. Milk thistle is a plant that we use for the cleaning of the liver. The liver takes a hard shot in the body. But this is the plant of the Peaceful Warrior. So we have this totem. And before I end this reading today, I will look up and see what it is that the author intended to tell us about the astrological aspect of this card. In fact, maybe I'll just do it right now. The astrological ruler, by the way, of this card is Mars and the Moon. Milk thistle dispels the damaging and destructive thoughts that can induce an endless loop of self-sabotage. Abandon insecurity, gossip, and fear-based protection strategies that enable frustration or a false sense of growth. Do not waste your time trying to control what cannot be controlled. Like a peaceful warrior, set your boundaries firmly and fearlessly. Like badger, milk thistle shakes up systems that hinder innovation and halts patterns and behaviors that stunt growth. Know that what you are not changing, you are choosing. That's a very powerful card in light of the fact that there's so much fast development happening here. So we go from the peaceful warrior to the ancestors are talking about surrendering. And this is an alternate major arcana. It's a grand trump. So it's representing the death card. But death not in the fearful way, but death relating to transitioning something to a new beginning. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's about surrendering rather than being fearful. So that speaks volumes in light of this card asking us to be the powerful warrior, and that's amazing. So this card from the Egyptians says, I do the best I can. And this is again picturing imbalance, yin and yang. You do the best you can. We all do the best we can, and that's important here. We are creating something new from something that was part of a long distant past. And how do we make these changes? This is about doing the best we can. This is about being a powerful warrior and surrendering, however. So this is kind of a juxtaposition. But it's remembering our connection. So this is the card that's the expansion card to this deck. Connection speaks to us, and it was so powerful to me. I actually grabbed the book for this as well. So this is the card. You are part of an intricate web of interconnected factors. A multifaceted combination of geological processes results in layers of rock, and countless factors have clicked into place, leading up to you being in this specific moment in this exact space. Even when you feel lonely and isolated, you're an integral part of a bigger picture. How might you open yourself to a greater reverence for connection on all levels? That's a very important question. We are part of a vast universe that is, while it may make us feel small, should also make us feel connected. So everything you're doing here connects to a divine plan, and it's creating justice, and it's creating clarity. We are, from the astrological card here, dealing with Pisces. So we have the moon, and it's asking us here to sensitize ourselves, to be sensitive to the connections, to be sensitive to the surrendering, even though we're maintaining a powerful, peaceful warrior status. What's interesting are the last two cards relative to this. The bouquet is success, and this is success, this tea leaf card. So I'm quite impacted by the juxtapositions of the oracles. The peaceful warrior will have the resources, will know when to surrender without backing down. You're surrendering because you're surrendering in the bigger picture, doing the best you can, recognizing your connection, being the mind of the Pisces, and I'm a double Pisces, so I get it. The surrendering. The moon is in two of these cards here, Mars and the moon. And knowing that it's going to be successful. What started out as a remembrance, a dream, a gentleness from the past. So you can pick, flip the camera, right? It's hard to talk and channel. Unfortunately, the spirits decided to channel, so they interrupt my words to replace them with their words. It's interesting what this suggests to me when I talk about this as a collective reading where the overarching energies impact us all. We're not having the same journey. It's impacting us in this swoop or this sweep, this tide of influence. We're all going to have this innocent recollection of something that we grab on and hold on to and apparently make a success out of it. How that manifests in each one of our lives is going to be very, very, very different. The energies of this powerful, dominant new moon in its shamanic reverence makes me feel very excited and very hopeful. It speaks to the end of this year. So because this grandmother, Gifts Praise Woman, is a facilitator of rituals and magic, it made me think while I looked at that again of Esther Hicks and the Abraham Hicks kind of channeling that she does, and how I was trained in that, and how she's so eloquent when she brings her words forward from her group. My group isn't the Abraham group. My group's called the Legion of Light. And so I am agog at how I see messages like this, and I immediately want to go into praise. It's our emotional energy that causes manifestation. We need to be happy and excited about something, as we were back in these days of nostalgia, before it will manifest. We just accept and give thanks and let it go, that whatever this is we're manifesting will come in the time and the way of right relationship to the universe, the all that is, the great mystery. But that it is ours. It is ours, and it is amazing. So I love to hear how these things manifest in individual lives, and do give praise, not just to others, but for yourselves individually, and in your small collective of friends and family. This is our last moon cycle. This is the time we can also embody the concepts of becomes her vision, but remembering that it is praise to ourselves and the universe that is making these magnificent things move forward. As I was just saying that, they interjected a statement that the concept of Pisces is important, not just to sensitize, as those of us uber sensitive Pisces are, but to recognize that that's the moon cycle in the spring. So the third moon cycle, big winds moon, how appropriate for me. But anyway, that's the moon cycle that you're going to see a lot of the absolute benefits of this thing you're creating. And we are all creating it. All right. Thank you, Miigwech. And like this video, subscribe if you haven't, so at least you get a notification when the videos are up. Send me a coffee. Send it in one of those giant St. Bernards with the barrel. You know, that would be good in this weather. All right. Aho.